And happy Friday to everyone. Tesla's up today. I have no idea why it's up. I see people asking in the comments. Let me know if my audio is coming in clear. Happy Friday to everyone. And again, let me know if my audio is coming in clear. And also let me know where you guys are tuning in from, city, state, country, whatever you guys feel comfortable sharing. We got a lot to cover. Some breaking news last night, some other things, some videos I want to watch on CNBC. A lot to talk about today. How's it going, Richard? Happy Friday indeed. Audio good. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate that. My voice is already cracking. We're 1 minute in. DRK, how's it going, my friend? Atlanta. Vern from the UK. Yashmeister, I like it. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Happy weekend. Yes, almost there. One more hour, and hopefully you guys can join for what hopefully is an entertaining stream. Paco, how's it going, my friend? Joel says bull trap for retail. We'll talk about that. Hello from Philly. Thank you. South Georgia, Agora Hills. How's it going, Richard? Sweden. Mimi, thank you for joining us. Vancouver. Hey, local. Sweden. Amsterdam. Ottawa. Leduc. Philly. Go Birds. You know, being from Vancouver, you guys probably know I'm a Canucks fan. By the way, look at the Tesla chart for today. I'm just going to leave it in the background just so we can relish in kind of the anti-pain for the day. Being a Canucks fan is not easy right now. I'm just going to leave it at that. So best of luck to your guys' teams, but it's been sad. Happy New Year from Austria, Michael. You as well. Amsterdam. What a wonderful day. Sweden, Belgium, North Carolina. Lit says the Tesla hit the bottom. We will talk about that and we'll have a discussion. Portlandia, Germany, UK, Los Angeles, Juju Town. I like it, John. Norway, Nashville, Dallas, Perth, UK. Folks, we are worldwide as usual. I'm not sure if that's the case. Free to skate. Oh, Andy, fellow Canucks fan, I can tell. Did you see that banner that was flying across the city? I don't know. The skate jersey's okay, but I don't think it should be our main jersey. Romania, Tucson, right? Not Tuscan. Or is that Tucson? Tuscan? I don't know. I'm an ignorant Canadian. What do I know? London, Chicago, Palestine. Joe says, let's talk about Tiny Trade's call. Sure, let's talk about that. Tiny Trade's on our Discord. Awesome Juju Gang member, longtime supporter of the channel. This morning on our Discord channel, put himself out there, stuck his neck out and said, look, and this, by the way, this was when Tesla was really red in the morning, right? He said, we're closing green. And not only are we closing green, we're going to close over $112 today, or 113. I forget what he said. Really sticking his neck out there. And lo and behold, what a rally off the bottom. So, you know, if you look at the stock price, right, pre-market was ugly. Albeit, admittedly, I was not watching pre-market because I was expecting from last night's China news, which we'll get into in a second here, I was expecting a 5 to 10% down day. I'll be honest. So pre-market, I think we were down about 8%, and rallying off like the strength that we saw. And mind you, the Nasdaq is green today, right? The Nasdaq's up 3%. Tesla should be up 6%. Albeit Tesla's up 3.3, but beggars can't be choosers, right? But yeah, I mean, quite the strength off of the open today. The stock usually rallies when we have the Juju Gang present. It's always good vibes when everyone's around. Sanju, how's it going, my friend? Sweden, one more from Sweden. Perth, Visas are Farzad and Yash, the same person. Brother from another mother. Yash, Marcel says, can we talk about the PE and the change of Tesla multiple? Sure. We have a lot lined up. Let's just get into it. Okay, hold on. So, actually, I didn't even realize I might not have the correct Chrome. Okay, perfect. So we got a lot lined up to talk about today. First things first, though, let's talk about the price cuts. So if you haven't heard, I'll briefly go over this. I'm not going to spend too much time into the actual part of the news, but Tesla lowering Model 3 and Y prices in multiple markets, bringing down prices in China to their lowest ever. Now, be careful with this a little bit. I mean, there might be the lowest ever, but it's not by a lot. They're, for all intents and purposes, they're back to January, early 2021 prices in China. Despite denying rumors that they're going to soon be cutting prices on the Model 3 and Y in China for the second time in 3 months, Tesla did just that on Friday for all variants of the two EVs. Now, look, the price for the real the standard range plus, whatever, I'm just gonna call it the standard range plus, is now 229,000 won versus 235 prior. The performance is barely down, only 6% down. The Model Y standard range plus is down 10% in China. The long range is down 13%, and the Y performance is down 9%. Now, immediately you look at this, or I looked at this, and I go, expected number one, shout my banded. Expected number one, but also, by the way, if you watched Farzad and I's stream yesterday, we were talking about how this is going to happen. But then also, immediately I jumped to, okay, what's BYD priced at? And now at this point, at these price points, it's very competitive. It's essentially a pricing war between China and BYD for the lower entry level models. You bet your bottom dollar that's going to stir up a lot of demand. And the bet that Tesla's making here, I should say, is that yes, lowering price will lower our margins. But if we sell more if we sell disproportionately more units of these to offset the margin, we can still increase earnings. And now we can draw out the demand curve and analyze it that way. Who's to say what will happen? But that's at least a bet that they're making. And also Grace, who is Tesla China's VP, also gave us a little quote. She said, behind Tesla's price adjustments, there are countless engineering innovations, which are essentially unique and excellent laws of cost control, including but not limited to vehicle integration design, production line design, supply chain management, and even millisecond level optimization of a robotic arm coordination. The root, start from finish, first principles, and assist on cost pricing, respond to the country's call with practical actions to promote economic development and release consumption potential. 2023, let's welcome a better life together. So basically what she's trying to say is not all of this is going to be dampening margins. Maybe we see some offsetting from cost. Now, the skeptical side of me is saying until we see it, let's not bank on it. And remember, we're not going to see the effects of this until April, right? We have to go through this entire quarter and then wait for quarter one earnings call, which will happen in April, to find out the effect on margins here. South Korea also lowered, Australia also lowered, and Japan also lowered. Pierre Ferragu, who you guys will know is New Street's research analyst. Hold on, let me just check here. I should reach out to. Have I ever reached out to him? I'm not sure if I have. Anyways, he had a tweet out last night talking about these price drops and how he sees between quarter four of 2022 and quarter four of this year, I should say, Tesla can lower ASPs by 8% without a dent on margins. Remember, that's his thesis. This grows the addressable market by 50%. Auto demand is very elastic. Remember, elastic meaning very sensitive to price increases and price drops. When price drops, the auto market demand increases. When prices go up, it shrinks. In a recession, demand tanks 10 to 15%. So Tesla will still be able to grow units 36% out of an addressable market growing 50%. And he gave us this little pie chart here. And I'll just get rid of my fat. I can't really do that. Hold on one second. Here, I'll just shrink myself a little bit here. So bottom line is, he says we model Tesla growing 14% slower than its addressable market. This is a recessionary scenario. So he says he has what happens in 2023. One, ASP is down 8%, which drives volumes up 36% versus the TAM, the total addressable market, of 50%. And the way he gets this is essentially Tesla Auto revenues, deliveries, ASPs are all written here, and you can see in the graph he has. Essentially what he's projecting is as ASPs go down, the general market, the general pool that Tesla has worldwide, let's say, increases by a substantial portion. Right now, he's projecting today's ASP at 50K. There's about 20% of the car market that can buy in that range. And he has it right here, this pie, this essentially this quarter right here, right? A little bit less than a quarter, it's fifth. So he's saying at 46K, a $4,000 price drop, you increase that market share by 30% all the way until this arrow. And if you're listening on podcast, essentially we're just looking at a slices of pie here. Okay. And essentially what he's saying is because of this addressable scenario, addressable market increasing disproportionately so, the offsetting of the ASPs going down or the margin hit, his thesis is will be offset by just how many more cars they can sell. That's his thesis. Let me read some comments. Can we get Pierre on? I would love to have Pierre on. I can't DM him on Twitter. So if someone tags us together, maybe he'll come on. But yeah, he's great. He also has a great accent. Thank you, Sanju. Appreciate that. Everyone like and subscribe. I appreciate that. DRK says, I think Grace is correct all the time while prices were rising, Tesla was optimizing and reducing costs, but couldn't pass it on to the consumer. I think we should be careful with just assuming what they say is correct with the margin scenario. Of course, margins are going to be hit. The question is how much of that is offset. I'm careful to say that it'll entirely be offset because we just don't have a history of saying that that could be the case yet. Of course, inflation has brought down prices, and there's even a scenario where we're also having this discussion on Discord about the new pricing for a lot of these cars. Very few buyers probably even purchased it because of the lag in sales. If you ordered a Model Y earlier in the year, last year, you let's say took delivery at the end of the year, well, you were already paying close to the price that it was already at after the rebate. So before the rebate, who was actually paying those prices? It could have just been up there for all intents and purposes as a vanity metric for price, but it really effectively could have not been. Let's see here. What other comments do we got? Visa's Pierre isn't accounting for interest rate increases going to recession, which is scary. Well, we model Tesla growing 14% slower than its addressable market. This is a recessionary scenario. So I think he is accounting for that in and of itself. Yes. So we'll see. But good analysis of what's happening here in China. Other news, we also got from Sawyer Merritt, from Joe Tegmeyer, a 9,000-ton Cybertruck Giga Press parts are arriving at Giga Texas. Check out these photos. So it's the Idra parts for the Cybertruck press coming in. Cybertruck's getting real it's getting more real every single day, folks. It's getting more real every single day. Oh, where's my Tesla ticker? There we go. 114 sitting on Tesla. Folks, we are continuing to rally. Check out the check out the day. Of course, 114 really doesn't excite probably any of us yet. So there is that, but I mean it's hard to deny the 3.5% up move, or I guess the almost 12% swing on the day, or whatever it is. Ramesh says, at this time, if we import from China, we may get the benefit at least 20% for Model Y. I think Tesla doesn't want to export out of China in this year, is my guess. I think they want to skew away. I know last year they talked about export being really the big part of the China story, and maybe it still is to a degree, obviously. But I think as Berlin ramps up, Tesla probably looks at the entire supply chain and goes, if we can just focus on selling these Shanghai models in Shanghai, even at lower costs, and get rid of our shipping costs, all the logistics and transportation, and also all the delay, and just focus on Berlin ramping massively, and just focus on Berlin feeding Europe, and then China can kind of take care of Southeast Asia, so to say, Thailand, stuff like that. That's a lot of cost savings as well. Like, you got to think, when they don't have to ship these vehicles on ships anymore. Vlad says, do you think the competition BYD will also reduce prices? I'm not a BYD expert, but BYD and Tesla are pretty fairly matched at this point on the entry-level side. But the thing with BYD is, aside from subsidies from the government, it's hard for them to be profitable already. And of course, BYD also sells hybrids and gas car and ICE engines, right? So will they reduce prices further? Maybe, but I mean, they would be doing it. Um, they'd be cutting off their arm to have lunch, sort of, so to speak. And I think that's look, if Elon and Tesla really wanted to pretty much screw over the entire competition here, I mean, if they lowered prices to only have a 15% gross margin, 10% gross margin worldwide, and they just flooded the market with volume this year. I'm not saying this will happen, but this is a scenario that Elon talked about. It's just hard to say how any competition would have anything against Tesla this year. Of course, we know this, right? If Tesla started selling the Model 3, what is it, like 33,000 in China, US? If they started selling a 33 $33 US in China, that price point hit the States. Yeah, it'd be kind of a game over there. Let me just actually see, what is it in US dollars? Model 3 custom order. By the way, the custom order page is back. Hey, folks, have we noticed that? Estimated delivery says between January and February 2023. So it's 40,000. 40,000. This is after the savings. So the IRA stuff still hasn't made it on the site, hey? 47,000 at the moment. Alex says they need a standard range Model Y. Yes, I agree. In China, that's why, they already do this in China, of course. But I agree. Let's do a standard range Model Y in North America. 100% agreed. Vern says BYD's bottom line profit is less than 2%. It's over 50% of their cars sold are hybrid. It's a false comparison. You have to really compare the EV side, right? Of course. So, 1.45%. Richard says 4% operating margin. Yeah. So operating margin 4%, net income margin 2%. Yeah. I mean, it goes to show you how hard the auto business is. Which is why it's kind of unbelievable when you look at the margins that Tesla already has. Gross margin, as high as 30%, some quarters, operating margin 20%, close to 20%. Yeah, it's just kind of unheard of. And this is before the software side, right? Which, by the way, I have a video pulled up for the software angle about it. John says, holy geez, the stock was about to tank and saved by those numbers. I find it weird that the stock was somehow saved by this China delivery report. I reckon if we didn't get that news for price drops, we probably would be closer to our kind of 2 times beta off the NASDAQ, which is probably 6% today. So there's some weakness, I think, on the day for Tesla, considering the price reduction. But what's interesting to see is in the past, when Tesla has reduced prices, that's an immediate 5 to 10% down day, from my memory at least. And no matter what macro. And it feels like some of this was, obviously, a lot of it was baked in for us to see this price reaction today. But I still don't think we're clear just yet. Next week, I think, is going to be important market-wide. And I'm just going to check the date on this. Hold on one second. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the 12th of January, which is next Thursday. We get CPI. That could potentially be coupled with the Fed's comments yesterday. Bullard's comments specifically, that could be a big, next week will be a big market week, a huge market week, in my opinion. Should the CPI come in, and PCE already came in cooler, if CPI comes in cool as well, that'll bode well moving forward. But I think next week will be dominated by the CPI report. And so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and say, this is it, this is the bottom, because again, I think macro really shapes the day still. I know Tesla specifically has taken a hit because of, let's say, Twitter or noise, whatever, since September. Undoubtedly so, and EVs have as well. But I still think macro is really the kind of signal that we should be focusing on. Because until we see some sort of a pivot or a pause in the Fed's talks or their actions, it's just going to be a continual kind of aggregate drawdown on everyone's mind. Alex says, what are the options looking like? Let's take a look at the options. I've gotten a lot of requests about analyzing these options chains like I used to. And admittedly, I've been kind of bad at not doing it, but let's do it. For next week's option chain, let me just pull this up here. Actually, let me make the Weeble a little bit bigger. Okay, so next week's option chain, let's go out one standard deviation. Remember, that's about one delta, 15, 16 delta, actually 16, 17 delta out the money. It's about a $127 strike on Tesla as the one standard deviation. It's priced at about, let's say, $1, give or take. Let's see if there's any skew. On the put side, we got 103 priced in on Tesla, so $10. So what's interesting is one standard deviation on the downside for Tesla is about only $10, and one standard deviation on the upside is about $15. So meaning that the odds of Tesla going down to 103 are essentially the market's pricing in, it's padding in less downside as we've kind of continually come down here and calling us moving, let's say $10 on the upside, so 123 at about 24% chance. Actually, I'll move my comma up there. So $10 for Tesla to move up $10, the market's pricing in about 22% chance, and $10 down, the market's pricing in a 17% chance. So there's some upside baked in there, but albeit not a lot. Like these options are not going to trade as fat as the 27th of January's options will, because these are earnings baked in, right? So one standard deviation on the earnings option chain, January 27th, is 140 for $2. And on the put side, we got $95 on the out the money put side, and for $250. So $250 versus $2. So downside, some downside for earnings being padded in. What's BYD's price action for the day? Someone asks. Hold on, I think I have them in my. Up 42 basis points. This is not liquid, but the Chinese market shows me up 42 basis points. So, because remember it's on the OTC, I think. Weird. Vlad says, according to Tesla economics, the Tesla China website is shutting down because they can't handle the. Is that right? Let me pull that up on Twitter if that's the case. Is that really what's happening right now? Is that what's happening right now? Let me pull up the Chrome. I don't see it, but Tesla China site. Let's see here. There's just there's some people reporting it. Tesla China shut down due to influx of price orders from China. I don't know who's reporting it. You can let me know. These don't seem that reliable, if I'm being honest, these reports. To be honest, like unless we see it from a wire, even then, maybe Sawyer's reported it, if that's true. Nothing yet. What's interesting as well, let's see here. How much debt does Tesla have? Nothing much. Not a lot. And mostly covered by cash anyways. Larry the Lobster says, do you think Tesla's on track for its first robo-taxi fair coming this decade? If so, the stock is ridiculously cheap, especially given the Gen 3 platform. Well, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments, yes or no. This decade, though, you've kind of set the bar pretty low. This decade, so what, 7 years? Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, if you see Cruise, Waymo, these guys doing it, I reckon it can happen, even in a jurisdiction. The hesitation I have is a widespread network given bureaucracy and people and politicians doing whatever they can to ban stuff. But yeah, I think this decade. Yes, no, yes. Oh, you just tweeted me? Okay, I'll check. Yes, of course. Luce's FSD will not be level 5 within a decade. Well, level 5, I mean, these classifications are just kind of a little bit tough. Thank you, Vlad, for tweeting this at me. Appreciate that. Tesla China is shutting down right now because it can't handle the flow of inflow of transactions and orders coming in after the price drop. We shall see. It could just be a lot of Tesla fans like, oh, whoa, what happened to the Tesla ticker? Hold on one sec. Whoops. It just could. I mean, it's hard to tell. But is it shutting down? I mean, I could pull up Tesla China right now and see if it's shut down. Let's see here. All right, Tesla China's website. I'm on it. Working for me, but maybe the point is that it's not working for them. Who knows? We'll see. The biggest thing to watch is the wait times, right? That's all we care about. We can talk about traffic, we can talk about Tesla trending on Weibo, but to look at the wait time, that's what we need to look at. And I think this says 1 to 4 weeks, because I don't think it's going to say 1 to 4 months. Maybe I'm wrong. Megapack margin surprise. Well, megapacks are a big story for Tesla bulls now at this point. Right. It's a big story because megapacks, people are saying, have close to 50% gross margin. I mean, we'll find out. It's that and Tesla kind of have really strong pricing power there with what they can do. We'll see. Marcel says, Yash, can you give your thoughts on what's going on with Tesla multiple currently? How is the multiple defined? Well, we'll pull up the multiple here on Webull. So trailing 12-month PE I see on Tesla is 35. The forward PE on Tesla I have written right here is 28.28. Now, the forward PE obviously would depend on what you think EPS will be next year. Pull up my calendar. Or calculator. So if we think Tesla does, let's say $6 EPS next year. And actually, so 113 divided by 6. That's a forward PE. Oh, not 678. 113 divided by 6. That's a 18.83 forward PE. And we did some analysis on this on Farzad's channel yesterday, and we were pulling up Apple's PE ratio history on macro trends, and we were looking at it, and we're looking at Amazon's as well. And if you look at Apple's PE ratio, coming out of 2010, 2011, get rid of this stupid ad here. Apple's PE fell quite a bit. So the market, you talk about growth, right? You talk about the PEG ratio, and if Tesla is growing at 30 or 40 or 50%, then it justifies an equally as high multiple. And then you look at something like Apple, what traded at, a 15, 10, 11, 9 PE for some points in their history. And maybe Apple's not a good comparison with their buyback scenario. I don't know. Maybe Amazon's a better case scenario where Amazon still didn't really bottom out at a really low PE. And I'm trying to pull it up here. I'm not sure if it's working. But anyways, if it doesn't load up, I'll just tell you. Amazon's PE, I think, bottomed out around 30 something post 08-09 recession. Amazon PE ratio. Y chart sucks, I think. Yeah, Y chart sucks. It only gives me 2018. So these are the questions, right? As investors, that we think is, okay, between Apple and Amazon's low PE times, where will Tesla fall in? The way I look at PEs is essentially the PEG, as you're trying to evaluate growth stocks, is trying to figure out, okay, if PEG of 1 is let's say a good deal, it's fairly valued. A PEG of 1 is essentially PE of 40, growth, EPS growth, long-term growth rate of 40. It's a PEG of 1. Now, the question, I think, all the debate that anyone's having is what is going to be the growth rate for Tesla next year. People like Adam Jonas from Morgan Stanley are projecting for Tesla to have a lower EPS next year than this year. That's not good for growth. And obviously that's going to take a hit on PE if that's the case. Tesla in general does about over 80%, sometimes 100% year over year EPS growth. Will it do it forever? No, but I mean, I have a hard time seeing how they have a lower EPS next year. Martin says, what's puzzling to me is how long Berlin and Austin are taking to ramp. I think the expectations with comparing to Shanghai were just a little bit off. Shanghai is a beast on its own, right? What can be done in China cannot be done anywhere else in the world, I think. You talk about Emmett and Matt had the guy on from Tesla China, and he was like, yeah, if you want a tree, if you're doing construction and there's a bunch of trees in your way, in China you say, screw it, let's just cut down these trees, move on. In Berlin, you're gonna, and he didn't say Berlin specifically, he said in other areas, you're gonna have to wait, get permits, make a town hall for this. So for better or for worse, you can agree or disagree with it, but that's just the way business is operated in China. Hadouken says, any chance Tesla does a price drop on FSD? No way. If Tesla does a price drop on FSD, it would, number one, look desperate, and number two, signal weakness on FSD. If you're Tesla and you really believe you're close to FSD, why would you be lowering price? Is my immediate thought. So I do not think that that's going to happen. And if it does happen, that would not be good in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Agree or disagree. Hopelessly optimistic. It'll be fun to get details on the Gen 3 model or the Gen 3 platform on March 1st, and hopefully the unveiling of a new lower price model by end of year, with deliveries 1 or 2 years away after that. I would not hold my breath. Maybe I'm just jaded at this point, but I'm not holding my breath for unveiling of a new model on March 1st. I think they'll probably talk about the Gen 3 structural design, 4680 and efficiencies there. But I would not hold my breath for that. Oh, you know what? I have a reminder here. I forgot. I got to give a shout out to Abhishek, who watches the channel, who I ran into last Saturday. I was walking down a flight of stairs and I just heard someone saying, "Yeah, Yashu, is that you?" And I was like, "What?" And I walked back and it was a awesome gentleman named Abhishek. Shout out to you. I was supposed to give him a shout out last Friday, but I totally forgot. But shout out to you, Abby. I had a reminder on my phone, but I put it to Saturday instead. Yeah, I mean, yes and no on the China stuff. Yeah. Okay, let's watch some videos, folks. I've got some videos lined up here. This one is Tesla software creates a long-term opportunity for the stock by George Giannakis of Canaccord. I think I pronounced his name wrong, but here it is.
Of course, as we do look ahead for what this year has in store for the company, let's bring in George Giannakis. He's managing director at Canaccord Genuity. Got a buy rating, $275 price target on the stock. Nice to have you. You wrote in a very recent note.
Is the audio okay on that, by the way? Let me know.
That you thought, at least in your opinion, that these numbers that we got on production and delivery were better than at least the worst case fears. Market doesn't seem to be taking it that way, George, does it?
No, I think everyone's now waiting for the conference call. Elon Musk gave a chat on Twitter Spaces a couple of weeks ago and basically alluded to the fact that the company is going to value unit over margins as we head into the cyclical downturn in autos. And so I think we're all waiting to see how bad.
Okay, everyone, by the way, just quickly, everyone's taking that comment that Elon made about if they had to choose between keeping margin or driving unit volume growth, they would choose unit volume growth. As Elon says specifically for 2023, he's guiding that they're going to be selling cars at a loss or at a break even. I didn't read it that way. Some people are. I read it as if push comes to shove and margins have to take a hit, we will take a hit on margins. Remember, Elon has, and that doesn't mean a break even scenario, I think. But remember, Elon's always said this. I forget what call he said this on. I think people forget. Elon's always said, long term, we're aiming for about a 20% gross margin. That's what he has said. He said, if gross margins get too high, we'll knock down price to get it to that ish level. He has said that specifically. Elon doesn't like how high prices have gotten. He's said it's embarrassing how prices have gotten. I think people are trying to have it both ways here a little bit. So I'll try to dig up the tweet where I think he's also mentioned gross margins and kind of guided to that. But Elon probably looking at gross margin at 30+% on just the auto side minus software. He probably says that, hey, this can come down and we're fine driving volumes there.
The margins and the average selling prices could get next year. Well, we have confidence over the long term is that every time, and why we think the company prefers unit over margins, if you think about it, every time they sell a car, there's a $15,000 opportunity to add software to that vehicle. That's 30% gross margin in addition. And that $15,000 is autopilot. Right now, we assume they're at about a mid-teens penetration rate. But as that product gets better, as people feel more comfortable with it, we think there's a long-term opportunity to really enhance gross margins.
So that's one of the key reasons why you still have a $275 price target on the stock?
Yeah, well, that reason, and if you look at this company relative to others, I'm sort of a meat and potatoes kind of guy. This is about earnings and earnings growth. Even if you assume it's 20 or 30% earnings growth, we assume it's a little bit higher than that. We get to about $11 in non-GAAP earnings by 2025. And if you compare this to the other big cap tech companies, which we think Tesla should be comped to, it's incredibly attractive. I mean, this is trading at close to 10, 11 times earnings on 2025. That group, which includes Apple and Amazon and NVIDIA and Meta, they trade about 17 times. So you're getting much better growth for a much better valuation. And we think that screams.
So he's at around $11 for 2025. We'll do our back of the napkin math here in a second to see where potentially we might model it out for.
Relative to those companies.
Wait, those companies trade on 17 times 2025 or today?
Yeah, it's 2020. If you look at them as a group right now, if you look at NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, they trade about 17 times 2025, yeah. Correct?
Okay, yeah.
So he's saying NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, these guys trade at 17 times 2025. He's projecting Tesla to do, what did he say, $11 EPS 2025. So he's saying Tesla is essentially trading at almost half of that, 10-ish instead of 20. Interesting.
I guess the question is, you're saying this is a cyclical, not secular issue in terms of this small shortfall on their growth estimates for this year. Doesn't that have to get into the valuation as well? The fact that this is basically subject to some of the same cyclical forces. Some are going to argue that the model lineup has not really been refreshed very recently, and exactly how is it going to compete?
This is a big concern that I've seen from general auto experts, is that they point at the lack of not trims, but the lack of models that Tesla has as a key limiter for their growth. And though I agree that Tesla probably should have a couple more models on the lower end, Cybertruck is coming out, but more models doesn't equal more sales, right? It's not like a direct to one-to-one correlation. If you look at Volkswagen, GM, Ford, they're like GM specifically, what is GM projecting for like 50 or whatever crazy number of new EV models? Like, why not just focus on one, get the cost savings, get the engineering to drive down cost, to actually have a positive gross margin or EV business, make it profitable, and then scale for more models there? Why have these kind of cost inefficiencies? So, this is a big. It's one of those things that where if you listen to analysts a lot on earnings calls, it's one of the main questions that they have is, where are the more model? Like, where are more models? We want more models. So I guess we'll see.
In a global auto market where everybody is trying to, do a lot in EVs.
Yeah, and I think I think people are trying to figure out how cyclical this is, what the secular growth is going to look like even into a downturn. And look, the stocks came off like 70% last year. It's down another 10% or 9% today. So
don't remind us.
Clearly, a lot of this, in our opinion, is priced in. And with regards to new models, they announced two things. One thing actually that was interesting. They announced an Analyst Day, and they're also going to introduce their Gen 3 platform, which is this low-cost model that people are talking about. Maybe it ramps in 24 into 25. And don't forget, in the second half of this year, they're bringing on the Cybertruck, which is a game changer. And look, some of the orders that they have may or not stay, but people had assumed there's about 1.5 million orders for the Cybertruck last time we saw some published numbers.
I'm just going to throw myself out there and say, hey, look, the 1.5 million orders, great. but I don't. I think 25% of those orders are actually legit for now. That's fine though. Tesla's not going to start making 200,000 of these in the first year of their production. All Tesla needs is enough for their supply for the first couple of years. The 1.5 million, I know people that have 4, 5, 6 Cybertruck orders. They probably plan to close on one of them. So that's fine though. That's just how pre-orders work when you have a $100 deposit, right? That's fine. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's 1.5 million, which means there's 1.5 million people ready to buy tomorrow. I don't think that's the case, but whatever. That's just a moot point anyways, because the point is Tesla makes 50,000 of these. They're going to have 50,000 buyers ready to go. I really think the Cybertruck is going to change narrative on a lot. Tesla investor base, Tesla as a brand. Some have been throwing out this argument of maybe Elon's becoming more outspoken about his political views because it's in preparation for the Cybertruck launch. I don't think so. And the kind of key thing there being that demographic that buys Cybertrucks is different than the demographic that has been buying Teslas in the past. Who knows? Look, I don't think it's that surface level. But the Cybertruck's going to change a lot, I think, for perception of Tesla. And by the way, it's a walking, driving, living, whatever you want to call it, advertising machine. It is. The first time I see a Cybertruck, I'm going to be videoing it, running up to it, wanting to sit in it. I don't care if I know the person or not. I really want to... Like, the Model Y was cool when we started first seeing the Model Ys, which was... Isn't it crazy that it's only been a few years since the Model Y even came out, right? That was cool, undoubtedly. But it was the Model 3 with heels on, almost, it felt like, right? It was like, okay, if you kind of squint, look sideways, you have a bad prescription on your glasses, it's kind of like Model 3-ish, right? Specifically it is. But the Cybertruck is it's going to go crazy, right? Yeah, that's another big one, right? Alex says it'll go crazy on YouTube, Twitter. That's going to be free advertising. Yeah. Well, consensual, of course. I'm not going to just go sit into a random person's car without asking them, but I won't take no for an answer. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's do our Tesla closing price guessing game. Throw your Tesla closing price guess in the chat. 113.11 sitting on Tesla at the moment. We got 16 minutes left here till close. Got a couple extra I got one extra video to talk about after this. It's actually going to be Gary Black on CNBC. So I want to watch Gary Black on CNBC. A short little clip there. Remember, Price is Right rules. You have to be at or under to win the prize, which is virtual juju. I'll throw out my guess as well. I'll throw out $112 on the dot. Bo says that was the fastest 45 minutes in YouTube stream. I appreciate that. I take that as a compliment. That means I'm doing something right. That time's passing. And by the way, thanks for joining me on a Friday stream. You guys could be doing anything, yet you're here sitting talking to me. But let's watch Gary Black. And what I'll do as well, as I watch Gary Black, is I'll open up the floor if anyone wants to come on. They have video. You guys have video or audio. Feel free to come on, and if you want to have a question, or if you want to say something, a remark, feel free to come on, and I'll do that. I'll pull you up after Gary Black, who is now on CNBC. Let's take a listen.
Still bullish, holding more than $40 million worth of stock in his future fund ETF and arguing that shares could go as high as 400 over the next 6 to 12 months. Gary Black joins us today, future fund managing partner, to discuss. Gary, great to have you back.
Gary looking dapper, hey?
Just would love to get your reaction to the delivery data yesterday.
Deliveries weren't great. You can't sugarcoat that. There are some temporary things, obviously. China COVID was raging, and there was some uncertainty about, what you'd get under the $7,500 EV credit in the U.S., so a lot of people were waiting. But, looking forward, the reason we stay with this stock is we think a lot of the bad news is in it. Stock selling at 21 times consensus 2023 earnings. It's never sold that low. The lowest before was about 28 times. But even if you use consensus estimates, and our numbers are higher than that, we're looking for about 30 to 35% unit and earnings growth over the next 5 years.
So consensus now is not 50% unit and EPS growth. It's now 35 is what Gary is saying. Very interesting. Thank you for the super chat. You go to your home.
I can't find in the mega cap space anything that has 30 to 35% earnings growth for 21 times. It's an absurd valuation, but it is what's going on, and the sentiment is bad, and the volume numbers on the fourth quarter didn't help.
Yeah. Do you think, how does Tesla reclaim the premium that it's had for so long relative to peers?
See, I think it still has a premium. You know, when I ask around, you know, I look at a lot of marketing research. I don't think all this noise that you're hearing about Tesla is impacting the business. It's obviously impacting the stock. Right? You got a lot of investors saying, well, maybe the brand isn't as strong as it used to be. It doesn't have the glamour. But I don't see people canceling their orders for Tesla now, even though the wait time has dropped. I think, you know, you still have a lot of innovation coming. We haven't talked about Cybertruck. Cybertruck's going to come out in 2023. There will be at some point, let's call it 2024, a $25,000 to $30,000 EV, which dramatically expands TAM for Tesla. So you've got a lot of innovation coming. And look, innovation drives people into the store, drives people to the website. They look at things. And look, Tesla still has, when you look at what people buy in an EV, they buy range, they buy performance, they buy safety, and they buy technology, and they buy a lot of charging stations. Tesla's number one in all that. So I don't think it really needs to reclaim being the premier EV brand. I think it already is. I think right now the stock is just reacting badly to a lot of the, you know, a lot of near-term type stuff.
Yeah. And you know what's true is so true is the software too, right? It's Tesla software just unrivaled when you talk about other software from other EVs. Sat in a Polestar, wasn't really impressed with any of the software, to be honest. And by the way, thank you, Mr. Makajuno, for your super chat. Of course. Yeah, I don't know. Guess we'll see. Alex says Tesla falling off that cliff is going viral on TikTok, by the way. Oh, wow. Well, it should. I mean, if you haven't heard about this story, I'll pull it up briefly here and I'll talk about it. This was insane. This was just insane what happened. So there was this guy who allegedly attempted a murder-suicide by driving off the cliff with presumably, I think it was his wife and his 2 kids. He was in a Tesla. And if you look at the scene, I wonder if Omar put the videos here. Oh, they're here. It fell off a 200-foot cliff, and they all survived. I think with non-serious injuries as well. And now the dad's getting prosecuted. Shout out to Royce for this photo. It's just insane. And you know what? This isn't the first time I remember hearing about a Tesla falling off of a cliff and people surviving. This is insane. And Omar put really good videos here of the general safety. It's just unrivaled. And of course, EVs are going to be, just because the way that they're built, EVs are going to have a little bit of advantage over gas cars. But Tesla's technology of their safety here is just unreal. I even heard a Sandy Monroe clip the other day where he was like, his wife says that they're never going to road trip unless it's in a Tesla. A 250-foot cliff. Just insane. And yeah, they all pretty much walked away. It's insane. Curtis. Yeah. Yeah. It's just so good to hear that it is getting the attention that it deserves. Albeit it's on TikTok. You guys know how I feel about TikTok. Don't go on TikTok. Don't do it. That's true. William makes a good point. I don't know, but the Teslas are designed to land like a cat. Well, low center of gravity, you're 100% right. The way they fall, the battery can be a cushion. The front, there is no gas engine, so there's no gas leaking everywhere. A lot of things, right? Raymond says some futzer tried to blame it on autopilot. You know what's crazy? I had a friend tell me this the other day. They said, we were talking about the China price, yesterday with the China price drops. And they were like, why would we never hear in the market Ford or GM? Oh, breaking news, local Ford dealership salesman discounts $2,500 off the Ford Mach-E. Like, you're not going to hear this in a different model. I get a dealership. Sales are already to the dealership, but you just don't hear about the lack of demand at a consumer level from other brands. You're not going to hear it on Bloomberg. It's not going to be breaking news. Ford dealership discounts Mach-E's by $2,500 or $4,000, But Tesla has like this price drop because it's direct to consumer. Um, and yeah, it's just nuts. V says, Yash, what's your exit price on Tesla? That's a good question, V. I don't know. You know, I just don't think Tesla's close to where its potential is, but I don't know what my exit price is, to be honest. That's a good question. It's a good. I would love to get your guys' take or V, your take on where you see this. I just think of so much of Tesla's potential is ahead of it. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, I think we know there's a large portion of people now that believe because of the price drop, this is now going to be valued just as a car company. And, you know, all the engineering is just fluff for now. And yes, Tesla has to execute and still, you know, prove itself, so to speak. I don't know. That's a good question. Exit poll price. Should we do that? What's an exit price? Hadouken says. I think what V's asking is at what price? Thanks for the super chat, Hadouken. What price do you sell Tesla? I think that's what he's asking. You guys can throw it into the comments. I know there's going to be a group of people though that are going to say I'm never selling, and there is that group of Tesla investors. But if I told you that Tesla went to $112 a share right now, and Tesla went to hypothetical, right? I'm not saying this is going to happen especially anytime soon. Let's say hypothetically, Tesla went to $5,000 a share right now, tomorrow, as you woke up. Like, are you telling me that you wouldn't sell? Come on. So everyone has a price, I think. Even the people that say that they don't have a price, I think, would probably have a price. I don't know. That's a good question. You guys can let me know. Well, so one of my best friends, his grandpa was a really early investor in Apple. And he just kept adding, really liked Apple. And now, and when that was when he was a working man, and now he just lives off of his Apple, I'm guessing off of his Apple dividend, and or covered calls. Of course, it's tremendously hard to find companies like Apple. For every Apple, there's, you know, for every Apple in the 80s, there's a handful of companies that don't make it. But yeah, I mean, that's why I'm curious to get what you guys' take is. Oh, okay. Hadouken got me. That was sarcasm. Thanks for the super chat again. Gonzalez says I would deleverage after 2022. That's a big learning. Me as well, man. It's of course it's easy to say hindsight. Of course, I don't want to beat. There's no reason to beat ourselves up over it, especially given macro. But yes, that's why I think it's important that everyone assess their own risks and rewards. I don't like when people try to tell you that you're dumb if you buy or if you're dumb if you sell. Because everyone has their own risks and rewards and what's going on in their personal lives that other people are not privy to. So I just never have liked you're dumb if you're buying right now, you're dumb if you're selling. People have to do what they have to do. You have to focus on yourself. That's the way, and you have to do your own thesis and research. But yeah, 2022 deleveraging, a big one, especially early in the year for me. I'm glad I pretty much stopped with options in February-ish. I forget when it was on the channel and the live streams. I'm like, I'm done pretty much for now. And I was too busy as well with work, so that I guess helped. But that September option that I bought for next year, man, what a gong show. That's just pretty much a zero at this point. William, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Have a great lunch, says William. Thank you. And I hope you're doing well with your health as well, William, if I recall. Hope you're doing well there. Yeah, exactly. Exit price, yeah. Everyone has a price, whether they say it or not, I think. Who ate the juju? Oh, man, I got the juju here. 113.11 sitting on Tesla. Okay, so let's talk levels. We got a couple minutes left here till close, but I want to talk about some key levels, I think, on Tesla. So, hold on, let me just make sure I'm caught up on the comments here. That's how it feels like, right? If you did deleverage, Tesla would make an all-time high. Yeah, seriously. So I talked about our 300-week moving average last week, and we closed above it. This week, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to close above it. It's 117.36. We came close. Now, a couple of things. I think next week is not Tesla specific. Next week is really going to be CPI specific. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the end of the week. Don't get faked out by the early week market move, in my opinion. We might see a large gap up. We might see a large gap down. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are kind of meaningless until Thursday's CPI report comes out. And then we will find out what the general market trajectory will be moving forward. So keep an eye on that. As support for Tesla, I mean, resistance still on the upside at that 117-ish level. Actually, some people are even saying this 114 level is hard to beat. I guess we'll find out. But psychologically speaking, it's on the downside. It's 100. It's 100. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's really got to hold. If 100 doesn't hold, there's not a lot of volume down there. Which maybe, I mean, I don't know. Oh, that's awesome. I got 17 more tests every 3 months if I'm clean of cancer, I have a normal life. That's awesome, William. Very happy to hear that. Cross my fingers for you, my friend. Praying for you. Per Johan, thank you for the super chat as well. 20 Swedish krona. I appreciate that. The Swedes did okay in the World Juniors yesterday. I got to give them a shout out. They came fourth, albeit to the Americans, but they had a lot of heart. Our Canucks prospect, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, did not play great. Elias Pettersson 2.0, our defenseman, played outstanding for his role. So shout out to the Swedes. Ekapov, how's it going? Max Payne next week is $116. Okay, so we'll take that for what it's worth. Oh, by the way, I'll throw up the options order flow as well, just so everyone can get an idea of what the options is looking like for next week. Net flow. Let's pull up Tesla. Let's do 1 day flow for the next 30 days. And let's pull up what we got going on. 113.12 sitting on Tesla. Let's pull this up. Open link. Okay, there we go. And let's pull up Chrome. So this is the, hold on, I gotta pull my fat head away. Hold on. Okay. Options order flow. We are green going into next week for options order flow. Albeit we saw a large amount of puts being bought around noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific. A lot of puts being bought. So, not sure if that's hedging going into next week, but we are finishing the order flow at least green to end the week, it looks like. I love all the love there for William in the chat. That's awesome. This is why our community is so awesome. You know, we can debate, we can disagree, but we keep it healthy, we keep it positive. I love it. Hadouken. Yeah, she usually watch The Price is Right. Okay. By the way, we just closed 113.06 in on Tesla. I'll find the winner here in a second. Do I watch Price is Right? Not recently, but there was an entire summer where I did watch Price is Right every day. I'm afraid to admit it. I'm really afraid to admit it. Chris says free Andrew Tate. Thanks for the super chat. 199. I thought he is. I thought he's out. I don't know. And by the way, William with a really important message. All men, please get tested for prostate cancer. You can save your life. My surgeon has patients that waited too long, and all he can say is sorry. Yes, if you're, what is it, over 40, I believe, then it's kind of a must, isn't it? So very, very important message from William. Absolutely. Joe says tiny goats. Tiny trades equals goat. I always call him tiny goats. I wonder if Tiny's listening to the chat. Awesome. V says, what do you do other than YouTube? I do my background is marketing. So if you have a small business, well, first of all, I should say I'm also a licensed realtor, but really my background is in marketing, paid ads, whether it be for insert small businesses, e-commerce, that sort of stuff. So if you have a small business, by the way, you want advertising done, I'm still working on the Twitter case study, by the way, which, I still need a pawn for on the case study side, but Google ads, Meta, mostly Google ads, I think has the highest ROI. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's find out who the let's find out who the winner is for the closing price. Let's see here. Curtis came close, but over. Will as well. Let's see here. Who else? Mohammed came over. Namahe was over. WH, Brand, Duez, Leandro. Wow, everyone's over. Jose might be the closest, 6 cents away here. Let me see if anyone else came close. Let me just see. I don't think anyone else came close. That might be our winner. 113.0. Yes, I think that's our winner. Jose, our winner for the week. Congrats, my friend. You win some virtual Juju, which I'll throw at you here. By the way, so just stick around for a second. I got a question for you guys. And oh, thank you, Kenton, for the super chat as well. Great show. Have a great. Appreciate that, Kenton. Thank you. I got a question for you guys. If you, I'm trying to up my my design game on the merch side. So if you guys have any ideas for merch, I was thinking Tesla related merch, Tesla stock related merch. If you guys have any ideas on any of that sort of stuff, feel free to DM me or message me on Discord for the Juju Gang. I'm trying to mock up a couple of new designs for the merch side. Let me just show you what we got going on here. So it's, you guys can probably tell it's mostly Juju related at the moment. But I'm trying to do more like Tesla stock. So I was thinking like a bowl with like Tesla in it, or the Tesla ticker in it, or stuff like that. But if you have any ideas, feel free to toss them my way. I'm trying to do some work on the merch side of the business. So I realize I got to up my, and by the way, I'm also planning to do embroidery for the Juju moving forward. Right now it's printed on, which I know a lot of you guys have requested for this to be embroidered on, and I'm working on that and launching that hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So that's my plan. That's my plan. Ekapov says a proud Tesla bag holder t-shirt. Make the bag full of Jujus. Tesla bag holder? Would would anyone want to even wear that? Would you guys wear that? Oh man, it's a good conversation start. That's what someone told me. Someone told me that the way you got to approach merch is it's a conversation starter at the minimum. It's not really a fashion statement. It's a, hey, let's have a conversation. Brilliant idea. LOL. Yes. Okay, so I appreciate that, Ekapop. That's gonna go on top of my list. Is that a little bit like? Is that a little bit sad? I don't know if that's sad or not. Okay, much love. I'll work on this myself. All right, 113.06, closing on Tesla for the week. Wild week, but at least we didn't close at the lows. Hopefully next week is better. Remember, CPI comes out. Try to put your phone technology, anything away for the weekend. Try to enjoy life. Go do some yoga. Go work out. Go for a walk. Go hang out with families. Go walk your dog. Go get a dog. I don't know. But be well. Prioritize your health, folks. Much love. I'll catch you guys maybe this weekend. I'll clip some parts out. If there's any breaking news, I'll go live. Remember, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be alerted when I schedule a live stream. And at the very least, I'll catch you guys on Discord if you're a Patreon member or a YouTube member. All right, guys. Much love. Take care. Yash signing off. Peace. Be well.